Hey guys, Justin with S&S Archery. Today I'm at the Allterra Arms headquarters with General Manager Todd Harney to go over some new rifle content that we are going to be producing side by side with Todd and Altera. So we're going to be doing a bunch of videos on selecting the right rifle scope for your gun. We're going to get into ring selection. We're going to get into mounting a new scope up to my rifle, my 6.5 PRC from Altera. We'll also sight this bad boy in for the spring. So Todd, give us a little background of Altera. What is Allterra Arms?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming in for this. We are a precision rifle manufacturer based here in Boise. We don't consider ourselves a gun builder. We're definitely a manufacturer. We make our own stocks in-house. Our action, which has numerous patents built into it, muzzle brakes, scope rings. You may hear the machines in the background. We're making a lot of the parts that go into our rifle system right here. We're very focused on performance, accuracy, doing things the right way, which includes the scope topics that we're gonna cover here today. So that's who we are and what we do.
All right, that being said, we're gonna jump into our first video, which is selecting the right rifle scope for my gun here. All right guys, we're here at Allterra Arms. This is part one of our little video series with Todd. What we're doing today is we're going to be selecting basically a rifle scope for my gun. I already kind of have it narrowed down, but we're going to go over some key topics that we think that are important to look at when you're trying to select your next scope. So Todd, we have a bunch of scopes out here in front of me, some NIGHTFORCE. What else we got here?
So we got NIGHTFORCE NX8 2.5 to 20. This is the most popular common scope we use every year here at Altera on our rifles, even though we offer a variety just like S&S does. NX8 4 to 32 by 50. We have a KAHLES K318i, and we have a SWAROVSKI X5i 3 to 18 by 50. So pretty good sampling here of high quality optics that we commonly use and now S&S are carrying.
Right, so I guess a little back note of, you know, I am basically looking for a new optic for my rifle. I previously ran a Vortex Razor LHT over the last few seasons. Last year I had a certain thing come up where my hunting partner, actually, we had shot a bull, we were breaking him down, and one of those times where you're just not paying attention, we had cut off one of the knuckles and accidentally chucked the hoof down the hill, and it hit my scope perfect. And it was day one of our hunt. I was extremely stressed out, didn't know how it was going to shoot, and that was what I was doing the next day, was shooting the rifle in camp. And something I have definitely thought about. Although the optic stayed true, it was still sighted in. It did dent the front edge of the scope, but when I had all that running through my mind, it was more of a durability. Is this going to be a scope that I want to continue to run? I have a big fall planned for 3 trips in Alaska this year, rugged terrain, you know it. It's just looking for something more durable. Yeah, that's why we have some of the top tier optics here in front of me. You know, I've already kind of made my selection, but what are customers, people that are looking to get a new scope for their rifle, what should they be concerned about, or what should they be looking for in a good build?
So first of all, when it comes to scope, you want to go, and it's the same argument for any optics, binoculars, spotting scopes, go with the best that you can buy. For the rifles that we build here, we don't want to see customers putting an optic on there that's going to bring down the performance of what the rifle itself is capable of. So keep that in mind. It's kind of like, you know, the stock tires that come on a nice pickup truck. Yeah, they get you down the road, but when the performance really matters, it's not an upgraded set of tires. Same thing happens with the quality of your rifle scope and the performance of your rifle. Now, obviously we invest so much time, effort, energy, money into getting into the field, pursuing our passions. These days, shot opportunities can be really tough to come by. It's competitive. And so you want a system that you can really, really trust. If you do your part, you should know that the rifle and the scope combination is going to do what you need it to do. And so, long story short, the better optic you buy, the better chance of that happening, especially when you're somewhere that you just can't afford to have a failure. So all these optics are capable of just that.
So within these scopes, what on a build quality, or whether it's windage locking caps, what are some of the detail things we look at? Like, what is a good weight for? I'm a backcountry lightweight hunter. I want to go in as light as possible, but I want durability. Mm-hmm. Like I stated, what is my weight to range, and how is that kind of featured into these upper end scopes?
Yeah, so it's for a worthwhile optic capable of long range shooting, if that's what you're into or capable of, you're not going to do much better than low 20s ounces. So we'll take this SWAROVSKI X5i, put it on the scale. That's a 30-ounce scope. The KAHLES is a little more. The NIGHTFORCE are right there about 30. You can, the scope I shoot on my rifle I think is 24 ounces, and it was as light as I want to go. To get into a 30 millimeter tube with an objective size, typically 44, 50 for the ideal hunting applications, you're looking at mid 20s to low 30s ounces for a worthwhile optic, and there's just really no other way around it.
Gotcha.
Other things that we typically discuss with our customers when they're choosing a scope is, what do you value? Do you value glass quality, ultimate durability? Are you the kind of customer that's going to want to dial for windage adjustments, or use the sub-tensions on the reticle to hold? Kind of backing up to the 30 millimeter tube conversation, if you want to shoot out to 1,000 yards, whether it's hunting or practice and play, you're going to want at least a 30 millimeter tube. If you go with something smaller, lighter, with a 1-inch, you're typically going to run out of vertical adjustment around 600 to 750 yards. So those are some other things to think about.
What's a good zoom range for some of the hunts that you've done, including myself? I've kind of been at that 5 to 20, right around that, as far as overall zoom.
Yeah, and that depends on what the person is doing. If it's someone that hunts a lot of close country timber, shots may pop up in your face out of nowhere, then it's really nice to have a scope that'll go down to 2.5 to 4 power. There's some 6 to 24s and all kinds of different magnification combos. If you walk around at 6 power as your low end and something pops up 20, 30 yards away, you're gonna pull up on that thing and see nothing but hair. But then again, on the far end, that all depends on how far you're gonna shoot. The NIGHTFORCE does a really good job of a wide zoom range on these NX8s. So 2.5 to 20, that's a in your face to 1,000 yard scope. 4 to 32, pretty much right in front of you at 4 power, you're gonna be able to see it pretty well to make a shot. And then at 32, boy, even if you want to use that thing as a spotting scope, you certainly can. But, and me personally, I shoot a 4 to 16, and if you have good sharp eyes, at 16 power you can make a 1,000 yard shot easy. So I'd say you don't want to limit yourself on the short end. There's 3 to 12s and stuff like that. Those will leave you wishing for more. Anything beyond a 32 is just overkill. So
And that's,
maybe that explains it.
in my experiences, I kind of treat it as a mini spotting scope. I'm not ever shooting at, 28 to 30 power unless I'm on a range shooting 1,000 yards or something like that. But backing it off for the shots.
The other thing where the higher magnification can help you out is, let's say you're set up for a shot where maybe there's an animal in the timber and you may have some limbs and things in your flight path potentially. To be able to zoom in as you're on the rifle and just check for any little things in the way and then back it off to make your shot is a pretty nice feature to have too.
We've basically talked about some of the internal build, the size of the tube and zoom range. I guess that kind of leads into, should a guy choose first focal or second focal plane?
Yeah.
What are your...
And that's an ongoing debate.
Right.
You'll find a million search results if you ask Google that same question. Here at Altera, we're primarily building rifles for hunters. I'd say 8 out of 10 customers are going with a second focal plane scope. I shoot a second focal plane. We've got, the guys here in our shop are mixed. So some quick hitters on each. Second focal plane, throughout your entire zoom range, that reticle stays the same size, the same thickness. And so if you have a shot at low power and low light, when you pull up and look at your reticle, it's very visible, easy to see. On a second focal plane, like this one right here, first, when you zoom all the way out, the reticle shrinks. And as you zoom in, it grows. So what that means is all of the hash marks are accurate. So if it's a hash mark, call it every 1 minute of angle, it's accurate throughout the zoom range. So if you're gonna hold your windage with your reticle, it's exactly 1 MOA throughout the zoom. You do that on a second focal plane, it's only 1 minute of angle per hash, or whatever your reticle is, at max power. So ideally, if you're someone that's always gonna plan on shooting at max power, if you're gonna hold wind, or you're gonna dial your windage on the side of the scope, second focal plane's good to go. If you hunt or shoot in varying distances at different powers, the first focal plane will buy you that little bit of leeway on being able to hold windage at any power, but you're definitely giving up reticle clarity in low light or at the lower powers.
That's definitely something that I personally had to experience. Is a lot of my elk hunting is tight timber, and I've shot a bull at 50 yards and 75 yards with a first focal plane scope, which I love being able to run the same scope for all my different hunts, whether it's spring bear and it's big open country where I can get out there and reach. But when I'm in that tight timber, I find that I have to be at 6 to 8 power in order to see that reticle. So the nice thing that these have is that illumination, that you're able to turn on the reticle as well, which if you're struggling with the size of that reticle at those close distances, you can turn that on. So there are multiple, like you said, there's so much different information and different ways you can go with it. For me, it's just, I started with the first focal and I just kept using it. I was used to it, and I really like how it works for me on all the different hunts that I do. Yeah.
And first focal plane, for a lot of people that shoot competitively and they're very good at holding wind, they're different size targets at different distances and rapid use, the first focal plane is definitely the way to go. Don't get too caught up in it if you're somebody that's putting together a hunting rifle and you're going to go out there and practice. Keep it simple. If you get a second focal plane, zoom in all the way to read your subtensions or dial your windage.
All right, so that pretty much, you know, covers what to look for in a rifle scope. So that being said, I've decided to go with the 4x32 NX8 from NIGHTFORCE. For my style of hunting, you know, I do hunt close timber at times, but I like to stretch it out. I'm hunting bears in big open country, and I like doing long range shooting. So first focal plane, the 4x32 NX8 is what I'm going to put on my rifle.
Good choice.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll jump over to the next video and then start talking about ring selection, some of the things that are key when you're looking at buying rings. If you guys have any questions about this video or any of the videos that we're doing with Altera, I'll go ahead and leave links in the comments to Altera's information. You can get a hold of them. They are the experts when it comes to all this stuff. Or if you want to reach out to S&S, you most certainly can. So we'll catch you guys on the next video.